Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're literally popping the hood on the macroeconomic machine. We aren't just going to look at abstract numbers, we're going to study the actual blueprint of the self-correcting economic engine. We're focusing on how the savings investment equilibrium blueprint dictates national income and, even more importantly, how it automatically balances itself out.
Really think about that for a second. How exactly does an economy automatically fix itself when millions of people just stop spending and start hoarding their cash, or vice versa? What physical forces pull a chaotic, imbalanced market right back into a state of perfect harmony without anyone actually steering the ship? Well, that chaotic disequilibrium mechanism is the absolute climax of our blueprint deconstruction today.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, the math of propensities. Second, deriving the savings curve. Third, the dual-panel blueprint. Fourth, finding economic equilibrium. Fifth, the savings surplus disproportion. And finally, number 6, the investment surplus disproportion.
So, starting with Section 1, the math of propensities.
Before we can build our machine, we've got to understand its basic physics. Every single dollar of income presents a strict binary choice. It can only be consumed or saved. There's no secret third option here. Just look at the average propensities. The ratio of what you spend, your APC, plus what you save, your APS, always equals 1. It's like a pie chart. There are literally no other slices. And it's the exact same deal if you earn one additional extra dollar. You're either going to spend it or you're going to save it. So your marginal propensity to consume plus your marginal propensity to save also equals exactly 1. This inescapable binary math is the absolute bedrock of our economic blueprint.
Moving right along to Section 2, deriving the savings curve.
Since saving is basically just income that isn't consumed, we can pull the savings function geometrically straight out of the consumption function. Let's map how this builds across 3 distinct phases. At step 1, when income is super low, households actually have to spend more than they earn just to survive, right? So because consumption is greater than income, saving is technically negative. The savings curve physically starts out way below the horizontal axis. Then at step 2, we hit the break-even level. Here, consumption exactly equals income, not a penny left over. So saving is exactly 0, and our curve crosses the horizontal axis. Finally, at step 3, as income rises higher, it overtakes consumption. Households can finally stash some cash away, giving us positive saving. So our savings curve slopes positively upward, from negative to 0 to positive, driven entirely by that level of income.
All right, Section 3, the dual-panel blueprint.
To really grasp how this machine works, we need to view it from 2 angles at the exact same time. Visualize looking at a stacked top and bottom schematic. Up top, in Panel 1, we've got the aggregate demand and aggregate supply framework. Here, the upward-sloping aggregate demand line, which is just consumption plus investment, intersects that 45-degree aggregate supply line. We're going to mark that intersection as equilibrium point E, giving us an output level we'll call OY0. Now imagine dropping a vertical line straight down from that exact point into Panel 2 below. Boom, you hit the savings investment framework. Here, the flat horizontal line of autonomous investment perfectly intersects our upward-sloping saving curve. And the absolute magic of this blueprint is that this intersection happens at the exact same point E and the exact same output level, OY0.
Which brings us to Section 4, finding economic equilibrium.
By aligning these 2 panels, we have found perfect harmony in our machine at output level OY0. And this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental rule of macroeconomics. The economy is in equilibrium when planned investment, mathematically, equals planned saving. So, what does that actually mean on the ground for all of us? It means that at this specific level of income, the part of output that isn't purchased by households is instead purchased by firms as investment. Aggregate demand perfectly matches aggregate supply. Firms can sell exactly whatever they desire to produce without a single leftover box.
So, at output level OY0, the economic machine just hums along. It's perfectly balanced. But the real world is rarely perfectly balanced for very long, is it? Now that we've got our baseline established, it's time to run some serious stress tests on the physics of disequilibrium.
Section 5, the savings surplus disproportion.
Let's see what happens when we forcefully push the machine out of balance. Imagine a sudden shift in consumer behavior. What happens when households suddenly decide to tighten their belts and save a lot more than firms actually plan to invest?
Let's walk through the domino effect here. We'll call this high saving output level OY1. At OY1, planned saving is way greater than planned investment. Because everyone is hoarding cash, consumption drops like a rock. Suddenly, aggregate supply, what the factories are churning out, is way greater than aggregate demand. The machine's pressure gauge in this scenario, physical inventory. Unsold boxes start piling up unexpectedly in warehouses. To fix this massive excess production, businesses have to react fast. They slam the brakes on production and, unfortunately, lay off workers. As folks lose jobs, national income falls. This painful contraction literally drags the entire economy's output back down until it rests perfectly once again at our balanced equilibrium OY0. That inventory pileup mechanically forced the system to correct itself.
All right, Section 6, the investment surplus disproportion.
But what if the pressure comes from the totally opposite direction? How does the economic machine handle the exact reverse? What happens when planned investment outpaces household saving?
Now, what's really interesting about this is we see an exact inverse reaction. Let's look at output level OY2, where planned investment is greater than saving. Because saving's low, household consumption is running red hot. This massive demand just blows right past current production levels. So our physical pressure gauge, business inventories, drains rapidly. Shelves are emptying out everywhere. Seeing this crazy demand, firms want to cash in. And what do? They aggressively expand production and hire extra workers to build those inventories back up. This surge in hiring injects way more money into households, driving national income back up until it reaches, yep, you guessed it, equilibrium OY0.
Let's juxtapose these two disproportions to really appreciate the symmetry of this whole blueprint. In our first scenario, a savings surplus means inventories pile up, which leads to layoffs, which forces output to drop back down to center. In our second scenario, an investment surplus means inventories drain rapidly, leading to aggressive hiring, which forces output to rise right back to center. In both of these scenarios, the physical levels of inventory act as automatic, self-correcting pressure gauges. The machine absolutely will not tolerate an imbalance for long.
So, the crucial point we need to take away is captured perfectly in this core macroeconomic rule. Equilibrium level of income is determined at that level where planned investment equals planned saving. That simple equation, S equals I, isn't just dry math on a page. It's essentially the fundamental law of gravity for the national economy. It dictates the constant, automatic self-correction of markets, output, and employment.
We've seen how elegantly the savings investment machine balances itself, relying on the hard math of propensities and the physical reality of business inventories. But I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder. If the economy's blueprint automatically forces a return to a steady equilibrium, what exactly is the spark that triggers the next great imbalance? The machine always fixes itself, but it never seems to sit still for long. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the mechanics of the world around you.